The timeless wisdom of Aristotle, a message for life after 50. As the years pass and life settles into a quieter rhythm, many begin to ask deeper questions about purpose, happiness, and the meaning of the road behind and ahead. If Aristotle were to speak to those in the second half of life, his words would be gentle, clear, and filled with the wisdom of a man who spent his days seeking truth, observing human nature, and understanding the soul. Life after 50, Aristotle would say, is not the end of striving, but the beginning of understanding. In youth, people chase goals with haste, often without reflection. But with age comes a rare gift, the ability to see life not as a race, but as a journey that shapes character, relationships, and inner peace. The measure of life is no longer found in possessions or achievements, but in the clarity of one's mind and the steadiness of one's heart. Aristotle believed that true happiness, eudaimonia, is the result of living in harmony with one's virtues. And for those over 50, he would remind them that the years have already carved these virtues into their character. Patience, courage, stability, kindness, these are treasures that only time can refine. Younger people can learn them, but older people embody them. Therefore, he would say, you have already earned the wisdom you seek. He would encourage older adults to embrace reflection, not regret. Do not mourn the past, Aristotle would say, for it has become your teacher. The mistakes you made have shaped your judgment. The losses you endured have strengthened your soul. And the joys you lived have filled your heart with knowledge that cannot be taught, only lived. According to Aristotle, the mind remains powerful as long as it is exercised. After 50, he would urge people to cultivate contemplation, to read, to think, to question, to observe the world with the calm eyes of a philosopher. Wisdom grows when one is no longer in a hurry, he would say. Sit with your thoughts long enough, and they will reveal truths that youth is too restless to see. He would also speak of friendship. At this age, he'd say, seek companions who nourish your mind and uplift your spirit. Aristotle believed that true friendship is built not on utility or pleasure, but on shared virtue and mutual respect. Older adults understand this better than anyone, they have seen people come and go, and they know the value of a sincere hand, a trusted voice, a loyal heart. Aristotle would remind them that the body may change, but the soul remains capable of growing. It is never too late to choose virtue, he would say. It is never too late to transform your inner world. The greatest victories of life are often won in maturity, when noise fades and truth becomes clearer. And finally, he would offer comfort. Life after 50 is not a decline, but a refinement. You are not becoming less, you are becoming distilled. What remains now is the essence of who you truly are. And that essence, if guided by wisdom, courage, and gratitude, can shine brighter than ever before. So for every person entering the later chapters of life, Aristotle's message is simple. You have lived, you have learned, and now you are ready to understand. Part 2, The Wisdom of Choices and Reflection in Later Life. As life advances, Aristotle would say, one comes to understand the weight of choices more clearly. In youth, decisions are often hurried, driven by impulse, ambition, or desire. But after 50, every choice carries the gravity of experience, the echo of past lessons, and the awareness of time's limited span. Choose deliberately, he would advise, for each decision now shapes not only your days but the serenity of your soul. He would speak of moderation with particular emphasis. Do not chase excess, for the body tires and the heart wavers, Aristotle would counsel. The pleasures that once seemed so vital now lose their urgency. Wealth, prestige, and even adventure take second place to balance, peace, and understanding. True satisfaction comes not from accumulation but from the quiet mastery of self, patience in action, calmness in thought, and harmony in relationships. Aristotle would remind older adults that the mind is the greatest instrument they possess. He would urge them to engage it daily, reflect on experiences, analyze decisions, and contemplate the natural world. Observation is the teacher of the wise, he would say. Look deeply at life, and it will reveal patterns invisible to the restless mind. Reading, conversation, meditation, these become as nourishing as food once was, sustaining wisdom rather than mere survival. Friendship, again, would feature prominently in his counsel. At this stage of life, the frivolous or fleeting connections fade, leaving only those of genuine depth. Aristotle would encourage cultivating relationships that nurture virtue and understanding, friendships built on respect, honesty, and shared insight. These bonds, he would say, are the true wealth of life. Companions who guide your spirit and challenge your mind, he would affirm, are treasures richer than gold. He would also speak gently about the inevitability of loss. Loved ones depart, health changes, opportunities close. Yet Aristotle would teach that grief, when met with understanding, becomes a lens to wisdom. Do not fear the passage of years, he would insist. Let them teach you, not diminish you. Each ending in life is also a beginning for the soul's insight. Importantly, Aristotle would stress that action and contemplation are not mutually exclusive. Even after 50, one can engage with the world actively, not merely reflect passively. Acts of kindness, mentorship, and guidance to younger generations embody virtue. Sharing knowledge, offering counsel, and contributing to the community are ways the mature mind continues to flourish, leaving a legacy that transcends time. Finally, he would remind that true freedom comes with experience. Free not from responsibility, but free from the illusions of urgency and fear. A mature adult, Aristotle would say, is capable of serenity precisely because they have learned the limits of desire, the inevitability of change, and the value of living in accordance with reason. Thus, part 2 of his guidance for later life is clear: reflect, choose deliberately, nurture virtue in yourself and others, and embrace the wisdom that comes with time. The years are not a burden, they are a teacher, and each day offers a chance to live more fully, more calmly, and with profound insight. Part 3, Embracing Change and the Rhythm of Life. Aristotle would remind those in the later stages of life that change is both inevitable and essential. Many fear the alterations that come with aging, the shifting health, the evolving roles in family and society, the changing rhythms of the world around them. Yet, he would say, wisdom lies in embracing change, not resisting it. To understand life, he would teach, one must observe its flow. To live well is to move with it, not against it. He would speak of acceptance and adaptability as virtues cultivated over decades. Those who resist the natural evolution of life often suffer needlessly, while those who align themselves with its patterns find serenity. Aristotle would advise, notice what you cannot control, and invest your energy in what you can, your thoughts, your actions, your relationships. In this way, the mature adult becomes resilient, able to navigate uncertainty with a composed mind. Aristotle would also encourage reflection on personal priorities. At 50, 60, or beyond, what truly matters becomes clearer, he would say. Material ambitions, trivial disputes, and idle anxieties lose their significance. Instead, attention turns to meaningful connections, moral excellence, and the cultivation of the mind. The mature years offer a rare clarity, the opportunity to focus on what endures, rather than what passes. Another lesson would be the delicate balance between solitude and engagement. Aristotle valued contemplation, and in later life, solitude becomes a powerful tool for insight. Yet, isolation without connection diminishes the spirit. He would counsel, spend time in reflection, but do not withdraw from the world entirely. Share your wisdom, listen to others, and allow your experiences to enrich not only yourself but the lives of those around you. The natural rhythms of life, the cycles of day and night, the seasons, the rise and fall of generations, provide guidance. Aristotle would remind older adults that life is not a static state but a continuing process of growth and understanding. Each stage has its lessons, each year its opportunities. Measure your success not by what you have acquired, but by how deeply you understand and how wisely you act, he would affirm. Finally, he would speak of inner peace as the culmination of a life well lived. It is achieved not through luxury or leisure alone, but through virtuous action, thoughtful reflection, and the acceptance of life's impermanence. The mature adult, Aristotle would teach, discovers freedom in serenity, freedom from unnecessary fear, from petty desire, and from the illusion of control over all things. Instead, they embrace life fully, grounded in reason and guided by virtue. Thus, part 3 of Aristotle's counsel is clear: accept change, focus on what matters, balance reflection with engagement, and cultivate inner peace. Life's later chapters, far from being a decline, are a stage for wisdom, clarity, and profound understanding. Part 4, the value of reflection and daily virtue. Aristotle would remind mature adults that the daily practice of virtue shapes a life of lasting fulfillment. It is not grand achievements alone, but the accumulation of small, deliberate actions guided by reason and moral insight that defines the quality of one's life. Each day offers the chance to exercise patience, honesty, generosity, and courage, virtues refined over decades, strengthened by experience, and deepened by reflection. He would say, do not underestimate the power of daily choice. Every action, however small, carries meaning when it is performed with awareness. For those over 50, these choices have multiplied in significance. The way one speaks to others, the patience offered in moments of irritation, the effort to maintain friendships, all these cultivate the character that supports a serene and happy life. Aristotle would also highlight the importance of looking inward without judgment. Life brings mistakes, regrets, and moments of weakness. But rather than dwelling on past errors, he would urge mature adults to learn from them. Examine your life as a gardener examines the soil, he would advise. Remove what is harmful, nurture what is good, and allow your soul to grow steadily toward virtue. This practice of reflection does not induce guilt but fosters wisdom, guiding action in the present and future. Another key lesson is the discipline of moderation. Aristotle believed that extremes, whether of desire, emotion, or ambition, disturb the soul. The mature adult, having witnessed the consequences of excess over decades, can apply this understanding to daily life. He would counsel, seek balance in all things, in eating, in speaking, in spending, in ambition. Through moderation, the spirit finds peace, and the mind remains clear. Friendship continues to hold a special place in Aristotle's guidance. At this stage of life, superficial relationships fade, leaving only those grounded in virtue and mutual respect. He would remind adults to treasure these friends, for they provide companionship, counsel, and a mirror for one's own character. Good friends are a source of wisdom as well as joy, he would affirm. Their presence sustains the soul when challenges arise, and their counsel strengthens judgment. Finally, Aristotle would speak of purpose and engagement. Though life may slow with age, the capacity for meaningful contribution remains. Mentoring, teaching, advising, and guiding younger generations are avenues through which mature adults continue to exercise virtue and leave a lasting impact. The fulfillment of life, he would say, is found not only in self-cultivation but in the cultivation of others. Thus, part 4 of Aristotle's counsel emphasizes that daily reflection, virtue in small actions, moderation, meaningful friendships, and purposeful engagement form the foundation of a flourishing life. The wisdom accumulated over decades becomes a guide, ensuring that later years are not only peaceful but profoundly fulfilling. Part 5, the power of mindful living and self-mastery. Aristotle would remind those entering the later chapters of life that the mind is both the compass and the guide of the soul. Experience has given the mature adult a profound understanding of the world's rhythms, yet wisdom requires attention, reflection, and discipline. Do not allow the mind to drift aimlessly, he would say, for even in calm waters, a rudderless ship may be lost. He would emphasize the importance of mindful living, observing one's thoughts, emotions, and reactions with clarity and patience. Age brings perspective, we recognize which desires serve the soul and which are distractions. Aristotle would counsel, see each day as an opportunity to act with deliberation. Your choices, even small ones, carry weight. Conduct your life with intention, and you shall find contentment. Self-mastery, Aristotle would argue, is the hallmark of a life well lived. It is the ability to govern impulses, temper passions, and respond to challenges with reason rather than reaction. At 50 or 60, one has likely experienced the consequences of impulsive decisions and can now cultivate restraint and discernment. Temperance, he would say, is the shield of the soul. Courage is its strength. Together, they allow the mature mind to navigate life with steadiness. He would encourage adults to practice gratitude daily. Gratitude is not mere sentiment, it is the recognition of life's enduring gifts, health, family, friendships, knowledge, and the beauty of the natural world. To appreciate what is already yours, Aristotle would remind, is to enrich the soul and foster serenity. The mature person understands that life's treasures are often found in simplicity and presence. Aristotle would also speak to the importance of purposeful action. Even as years advance, one's contributions remain meaningful. Mentoring younger generations, sharing accumulated wisdom, and guiding others in ethical, practical, or personal matters becomes both a duty and a joy. Your experience, he would say, is a lamp for those who follow. Let your knowledge illuminate paths and inspire virtue. Finally, he would reflect on the integration of mind, body, and spirit. The mature adult is aware that while the body changes, the intellect and soul continue to develop. Simple practices, thoughtful exercise, nourishing diet, intellectual engagement, contemplation, sustain balance. Through these, life becomes not only longer, but richer, wiser, and more serene. Thus, Part 5 of Aristotle's guidance emphasizes mindful living, self-mastery, gratitude, purposeful action, and holistic balance. The wisdom acquired over decades is not static, it is a living force that, when applied with awareness, makes the later years the most profound, fulfilling, and rewarding stage of life. Part 6, Finding Meaning Through Reflection and Experience. Aristotle would remind mature adults that life's value is measured not by external accomplishments alone, but by the depth of understanding and the quality of reflection. With 50 or 60 years behind them, people have witnessed successes and failures, joys and sorrows. Each of these experiences becomes a teacher if approached thoughtfully. The past, he would say, is not a weight to bear, but a treasury to consult. Learn from it, and it will guide your remaining days. He would emphasize that reflection is a daily practice, not a rare indulgence. Spending time quietly observing one's thoughts, reviewing decisions, and considering future actions strengthens judgment and cultivates serenity. The mature adult, Aristotle would insist, benefits most from this mindful assessment, for it allows the mind to navigate life's challenges with calm and clarity. Aristotle would speak of resilience as a cultivated skill, not an innate trait. Difficulties encountered over decades, illness, loss, or societal changes, teach endurance. The soul grows through adversity, he would teach. Each challenge faced with reason and virtue strengthens your character and brings peace to your spirit. In later life, resilience is both shield and compass, guiding one safely through uncertainty. Another cornerstone of his counsel would be the pursuit of virtuous habits. Decades of experience provide insight into which behaviors lead to lasting contentment. Aristotle would advise, repeat what is good, avoid what harms, and refine your character each day. Habits shape destiny, and virtue is the mark of a life well lived. By intentionally cultivating honesty, generosity, patience, and courage, the mature adult continues to flourish. Friendship, once again, would be central. Aristotle would stress that true friends enrich the soul, offering wisdom, comfort, and shared joy. Older adults understand that time and experience reveal the nature of genuine companionship. Surround yourself with those who inspire virtue and integrity, he would counsel. Through these relationships, your later years are both enriched and guided. Finally, Aristotle would remind them of the pursuit of knowledge and curiosity. The mind need not wane with age, in fact, maturity allows for deeper understanding. Reading, contemplation, discourse, and observation remain vital. Seek knowledge for its own sake, he would advise, and let the mind continue to grow as the body changes. Wisdom does not age, it deepens. Thus, Part 6 emphasizes reflection, resilience, virtuous habits, meaningful friendships, and lifelong learning. Aristotle's message is clear: life after 50 or 60 is not a decline, but a profound opportunity to live with depth, clarity, and lasting fulfillment. Part 7, Cultivating Calmness and Inner Freedom. Aristotle would remind those in the later stages of life that true freedom is found not in external circumstances, but in the mastery of the self. With age, the illusions that once guided choices, of urgency, envy, or pride, lose their power. The mature adult can approach life with clarity, seeing beyond fleeting desires and focusing instead on what endures: reason, virtue, and peace of mind. He would speak of calmness as an active practice, not a passive state. Life after 50 is filled with events, responsibilities, and inevitable challenges. Aristotle would counsel: meet each situation with measured thought. Let your decisions arise from understanding, not from reaction. In this steadiness lies the freedom to act rightly and live fully. Reflection would again take central stage. Aristotle would encourage the mature adult to review their life daily, to understand what truly matters and what has been distractions. Wisdom grows when one contemplates with honesty and patience, he would say. Look back not with regret, but with insight. Each moment offers guidance for the next, and the past is a lamp for the present. Friendship and companionship remain essential. Aristotle would teach that the quality of relationships defines the quality of life. At this age, trivial interactions fade, leaving only those who nourish the spirit and encourage virtue. Surround yourself with friends who inspire and challenge you, he would advise. These are the companions who make life richer, calmer, and wiser. He would also highlight the importance of purposeful action. Even as years advance, the mature adult contributes meaningfully to family, community, and society. Mentoring, guiding younger generations, or sharing accumulated wisdom are ways to act virtuously and leave a lasting legacy. Your life becomes luminous when used to illuminate the paths of others, Aristotle would say. Finally, Aristotle would stress mindful engagement with the world. While the body may change, the mind and spirit remain capable of growth and insight. Simple, deliberate routines, reading, walking, observing nature, or quiet contemplation, sustain balance and nurture inner freedom. The soul flourishes when it is tended with care, he would affirm, and freedom is the gift of reason cultivated over a lifetime. Thus, Part 7 emphasizes calmness, self-mastery, reflection, meaningful friendships, purposeful action, and mindful engagement. Aristotle's wisdom guides the mature adult to live not only with experience, but with serenity, freedom, and profound understanding. Part 8, Embracing Simplicity and the Essence of Life. Aristotle would remind those in the later stages of life that the pursuit of simplicity is the pathway to clarity and contentment. After decades of striving, acquiring, and seeking recognition, the mature adult comes to see the true treasures of life lie not in wealth, status, or applause, but in the quiet, enduring qualities that sustain the soul: virtue, understanding, and meaningful connection. He would counsel: strip away what is unnecessary. Observe what remains. In the essence of life, you will find the riches that cannot fade. The distractions and excesses that once commanded attention now lose their importance. Simplicity does not mean austerity, Aristotle would say, but rather the ability to focus on what genuinely matters: the cultivation of character, the nurturing of relationships, and the appreciation of life's beauty. Reflection remains central. Aristotle would encourage mature adults to review their daily actions with honesty and patience. Ask yourself each day: did I act with wisdom? Did I practice virtue? Did I nurture those I love? Each moment is an opportunity to align your life with the highest good. This practice transforms ordinary routines into meaningful rituals and ordinary moments into lessons of wisdom. Friendship, again, holds profound significance. True friends are not measured by numbers, but by the depth of understanding, trust, and shared values. At this stage of life, Aristotle would advise: cultivate bonds that enrich the mind and heart. These friendships are not fleeting pleasures but enduring sources of guidance, joy, and moral support. A friend is a mirror to the soul, he would remind, and the reflection of virtue strengthens your own character. Aristotle would also highlight the beauty of balance. Moderate action, moderate desire, and measured engagement with the world are the hallmarks of a harmonious life. He would counsel, excess clouds judgment. Temperance frees the mind. Through balance, you achieve serenity and clarity. This balance allows the mature adult to navigate the complexities of life without being overwhelmed, responding to challenges with calmness and insight. Finally, he would remind that the cultivation of the mind is lifelong. Reading, observing, contemplating, and engaging with ideas keep the intellect vibrant and the spirit enriched. Knowledge gained through experience deepens understanding and illuminates the path ahead. Age does not diminish wisdom, Aristotle would say, it sharpens it. Each day is an opportunity to grow, to understand, and to act with clarity. Thus, Part 8 emphasizes simplicity, reflection, deep friendships, balance, and lifelong intellectual growth. Aristotle's counsel teaches the mature adult to embrace life with clarity, peace, and an understanding of what truly matters, transforming later years into a season of insight, purpose, and profound fulfillment. Part 9, The Art of Patience and the Gift of Time. Aristotle would remind mature adults that patience is among the most valuable virtues cultivated with age. In youth, urgency and desire drive action, often leading to mistakes or fleeting satisfaction. After 50, the passage of time offers perspective, the realization that life is measured not by speed, but by the depth and quality of experience. Do not rush, he would counsel. Each moment is a thread in the fabric of life. Woven carefully, it becomes a tapestry of meaning. He would emphasize that time itself is a teacher. Decades bring insight into human nature, the cycles of relationships, and the consequences of actions. Aristotle would say, observe, reflect, and act with wisdom. The years have granted you discernment that youth cannot know. Use this gift thoughtfully. Mature adults can pause before responding, consider the broader view, and make choices grounded in reason and virtue. Patience, Aristotle would teach, is not passive waiting but active engagement with understanding. It allows the mind to weigh options, the heart to regulate emotion, and the spirit to endure trials without turmoil. A patient person, he would say, navigates life with calm, avoids unnecessary conflict, and perceives what is truly valuable. In this way, patience becomes a source of freedom, enabling one to act not out of fear or impulse but from clarity and purpose. He would also stress the importance of appreciating the present. With years behind, the mature adult recognizes how fleeting moments are, how quickly seasons change, and how the value of life lies in attention and awareness. Savor the ordinary, Aristotle would advise. Notice the sunrise, the conversation, the laughter, the stillness. These moments form the foundation of contentment and the memory of a life well lived. Friendship and family, again, play a central role. Aristotle would counsel nurturing relationships that bring joy, guidance, and understanding. At this age, one sees the depth of human connection more clearly and recognizes which bonds are enduring. True friends provide support, reflection, and shared virtue, helping to maintain balance and peace of mind. Finally, he would remind that purposeful activity enhances the meaning of time. Engaging in mentorship, sharing knowledge, supporting the community, or creating thoughtful contributions ensures that one's remaining years are rich with significance. Do not let your days pass unexamined, he would say. Invest your time in actions that reflect your highest values, and the gift of life becomes fully realized. Thus, Part 9 emphasizes patience, mindful attention, reflection, valued relationships, and purposeful use of time. Aristotle's wisdom guides the mature adult to navigate later life with serenity, insight, and a profound appreciation for the richness of each moment. Part 10, Wisdom through Observation and Life's Patterns. Aristotle would remind mature adults that true wisdom arises from careful observation of life and its patterns. The years provide countless examples of human behavior, natural cycles, and the consequences of choices. See clearly, he would say, and understand that life repeats itself in subtle forms. The more attentive you are, the more lessons you discover, and the more skillfully you navigate your days. He would encourage adults to notice the ordinary details, for these often hold profound insight. The rhythm of the seasons, the habits of those around you, the consequences of repeated decisions, all teach the attentive mind. Do not overlook what seems trivial, Aristotle would advise. In these small moments lies the guidance of the whole life. Observation also extends to the self. Mature adults are invited to reflect on their own actions, desires, and emotions, discerning which patterns foster peace and which bring unrest. Know yourself, Aristotle would insist, for understanding the self is the foundation of understanding the world. The disciplined mind sees beyond impulse and habit to the root of conduct. Friendship and community remain central to this stage of life. Aristotle would remind that virtue is cultivated in connection with others. Relationships offer mirrors to our character, opportunities to act rightly, and occasions to learn patience, kindness, and honesty. Choose companions who elevate your spirit and challenge your reasoning, he would say. Their influence magnifies the value of your experience. He would also speak of moderation and measured action. Life after 50 is best approached with balance. Excess, whether in consumption, emotion, or ambition, clouds judgment and disrupts harmony. Act neither too hastily nor too passively, Aristotle would advise. Let reason guide you, and your life will remain aligned with virtue. Finally, Aristotle would emphasize the ongoing cultivation of knowledge and contemplation. Even as the body changes, the mind remains fertile. Reading, studying, observing, and discussing allow the mature adult to continue growing, enriching both personal understanding and the wisdom shared with others. A life of reason, reflection, and purposeful action is a life fully realized, he would conclude. Thus, Part 10 highlights observation, self-reflection, virtuous relationships, moderation, and lifelong learning. Aristotle's guidance teaches that life's later years are not a period of decline, but a time for profound insight, clarity, and meaningful engagement with the world. Part 11, Mastery of the Self and the Pursuit of True Fulfillment. Aristotle would remind mature adults that the highest achievement in later life is mastery of the self. Over decades, the human soul experiences countless joys, sorrows, triumphs, and disappointments. Each event leaves its mark, shaping perception, temperament, and understanding. Yet, true wisdom is not simply the accumulation of experiences, it is the ability to reflect upon them, integrate lessons, and live in accordance with virtue. The soul, Aristotle would teach, is the craftsman of life. The mind directs it, and virtue shapes it. Those who master themselves cultivate peace that endures beyond circumstance. He would stress that self-mastery is a gradual process, built day by day, thought by thought, choice by choice. In youth, impulses often dominate, ambition, desire, and fear guide action. But with age comes the capacity to recognize these forces and to respond consciously rather than react instinctively. Aristotle would advise, observe your impulses. Temper your passions. Let reason illuminate every decision. In this deliberate living, you discover freedom, freedom not from duties or responsibility, but from being ruled by fleeting emotion or desire. Reflection is central to this mastery. Aristotle would encourage the mature adult to review the patterns of their life, to consider which behaviors have nurtured contentment and which have caused regret. Do not dwell on failure with bitterness, he would say, nor celebrate success without discernment. Each day provides an opportunity to refine your character, to correct mistakes, and to act in alignment with what is good and noble. This practice of conscious reflection transforms ordinary moments into profound opportunities for growth. He would also emphasize the cultivation of virtue in daily life. Virtues such as patience, courage, temperance, generosity, and honesty are not abstract ideals but practical guides for action. Aristotle would counsel, do not abandon virtue for convenience or comfort. Each decision, how you speak, how you treat others, how you manage your thoughts, strengthens the soul when aligned with reason and integrity. Through such disciplined living, life becomes a masterpiece of ethical and spiritual refinement. Friendship and meaningful connections remain essential in the mature years. Aristotle would remind that true friends act as both mirrors and guides, reflecting virtues and flaws alike. At 50, 60, or beyond, the superficial bonds fade, leaving relationships that nurture the mind and heart. Seek companions who challenge you, inspire reflection, and share your values, he would say. These friends sustain the spirit, provide counsel, and create shared experiences that enrich life far beyond material or fleeting pleasures. Aristotle would further stress the importance of lifelong engagement with the world. Even as physical abilities change, the mature adult can contribute wisdom, insight, and guidance. Mentoring younger generations, offering counsel, participating in community affairs, or sharing learned experiences are all avenues through which one continues to exercise virtue and leave a lasting impact. Your experience is a lamp, he would advise, illuminating the path for those who follow. In guiding others, you cultivate your own understanding and deepen your fulfillment. Gratitude and mindfulness would also be central to his teaching. The mature adult has seen the impermanence of life and understands the value of the present moment. Aristotle would counsel, notice the subtle gifts around you, the kindness of a friend, the laughter of family, the beauty of nature, the quiet of contemplation. By acknowledging and appreciating these, you nourish the soul and cultivate serenity. In doing so, life's later years become a period not of decline, but of rich, reflective presence. Finally, Aristotle would remind that fulfillment is the natural result of living in harmony with virtue, reason, and wisdom. The passage of decades offers clarity about what matters, enabling the mature adult to focus energy on meaningful pursuits. Health, wealth, and status pale in comparison to inner balance, ethical living, and the cultivation of lasting relationships. Happiness, he would say, is not an external reward, but the product of a life guided by virtue, enriched by reflection, and dedicated to the good. Thus, Part 11 emphasizes self-mastery, conscious reflection, daily virtue, deep friendships, mindful presence, and purposeful engagement with life. Aristotle's guidance teaches that life after 50 or 60 is not merely about surviving or enjoying comfort, it is about refining the soul, acting wisely, and discovering fulfillment that endures through every remaining day. Part 12, the harmony of mind, body, and spirit. Aristotle would remind mature adults that true well-being arises from the harmony of mind, body, and spirit. With age, it becomes increasingly clear that neglecting any one aspect of life diminishes the whole. The physical body may change, yet the mind and soul remain fertile grounds for growth, reflection, and purposeful action. Tend to all parts of yourself, he would say, for imbalance in one area disrupts the tranquility of the whole. He would emphasize the importance of physical care as an extension of respect for life. Moderate exercise, attention to diet, and adequate rest are not merely functional necessities but acts that sustain the soul. Aristotle would counsel, a healthy body supports a clear mind. Nurture yourself, not for vanity, but for the continued capacity to act, think, and reflect. The mature adult, mindful of the body's limitations, finds freedom through balance rather than indulgence or neglect. The mind, Aristotle would insist, must remain active and engaged. Intellectual curiosity, reading, meditation, and conversation maintain mental clarity and strengthen reasoning. He would advise, the mind is like a cultivated garden, it requires attention, nourishment, and care. Allow it to flourish through reflection, study, and dialogue. The pursuit of understanding, even in later years, enriches life and cultivates a sense of purpose. Aristotle would also speak to the importance of spiritual harmony, understood as alignment with virtue and reason. Ethical living, contemplation, and acts of kindness reinforce the spirit and provide enduring satisfaction. Seek to act rightly, even when unnoticed, he would remind. The soul, guided by virtue, grows luminous through thoughtful deeds and integrity. In this way, moral and spiritual practice complements intellectual and physical cultivation. Friendships, he would say, continue to nurture the soul. Mature adults understand the depth and rarity of true companionship. Friends who share values, challenge understanding, and provide emotional support act as mirrors for reflection and sources of joy. Aristotle would counsel, invest in those who elevate your character. Relationships founded on virtue sustain balance and illuminate life. He would further emphasize the integration of daily routines with reflective practice. Simple habits, mindful eating, walking in nature, journaling, or conversing deeply, become vessels for cultivating harmony. Order your days with intention, he would advise. Let each action, however small, be guided by thought and virtue. Through consistent practice, balance becomes second nature. Finally, Aristotle would remind that happiness and fulfillment emerge from the interplay of all aspects of life. When mind, body, and spirit are tended with care and directed by reason, the mature adult experiences life with serenity and insight. Harmony, he would say, is the fruit of disciplined attention, cultivated virtue, and reflective presence. In this, the later years become a season of profound clarity and enduring joy. Thus, Part 12 emphasizes physical care, intellectual engagement, spiritual alignment, meaningful friendships, intentional routines, and holistic harmony. Aristotle's wisdom guides mature adults to live with balance, peace, and fulfillment, demonstrating that life's later stages can be rich, purposeful, and deeply satisfying. Part 13, the pursuit of true happiness and life's enduring meaning. Aristotle would remind mature adults that true happiness, eudaimonia, is not fleeting pleasure, nor material accumulation, but the fulfillment of the soul through virtue, reflection, and purposeful living. At 50, 60, or beyond, one has already witnessed the impermanence of youth, the transience of fortune, and the fleeting nature of acclaim. Yet these realizations are gifts, for they reveal what endures: wisdom, virtue, relationships, and a life lived with awareness. Happiness, he would teach, is the natural reward of a life in harmony with reason and virtue. It is cultivated, not stumbled upon. He would emphasize that happiness is inseparable from virtue. Acting with courage, temperance, honesty, and generosity brings a sense of peace that no external possession can provide. Aristotle would counsel, let each choice, no matter how small, reflect the goodness you wish to embody. In virtue, you find a joy that neither time nor circumstance can diminish. The mature adult, having lived through trials and triumphs, appreciates that ethical conduct is the foundation of lasting fulfillment. Reflection remains central to this stage of life. Aristotle would encourage adults to examine their experiences, discerning lessons hidden within both successes and failures. Look back not with regret, nor forward with anxiety, he would advise, but observe life as it unfolds, learning from each moment. Such contemplation allows the mind to recognize recurring patterns, understand human nature more deeply, and act with informed wisdom. In this deliberate practice, the mature adult discovers a clarity that eluded youth. Friendship and community, Aristotle would stress, are essential pillars of happiness. Deep, virtuous friendships provide both solace and intellectual stimulation. They mirror one's character, challenge assumptions, and nurture the soul. At this age, the value of such relationships is clear: fleeting acquaintances fade, but enduring bonds sustain life. Seek companions who elevate, not diminish, your spirit, Aristotle would counsel. In shared virtue, happiness multiplies. He would also speak to the importance of purpose. Beyond reflection and friendship, the mature adult finds meaning in contributing to others, whether through mentoring, teaching, creative expression, or acts of service. Your life gains lasting significance when it touches the lives of others, he would say. Through guiding, nurturing, and sharing your knowledge and virtue, you leave a legacy that endures beyond your own days. Aristotle would remind that the pursuit of knowledge is lifelong. Even as the body ages, the mind remains capable of growth, insight, and understanding. Reading, dialogue, observation, and contemplation sustain intellectual vigor and provide endless opportunities for discovery. Never cease learning, he would insist. Each day offers new truths, if your mind remains open and your spirit attentive. Gratitude, he would teach, is a vital practice. Recognizing the beauty, kindness, and opportunities in each day nurtures the soul and fosters contentment. Notice the gifts life presents, the warmth of the sun, the laughter of loved ones, the serenity of nature, the satisfaction of virtuous action. Gratitude transforms ordinary life into extraordinary fulfillment. Finally, Aristotle would remind that happiness in later life is the culmination of deliberate choices, virtuous action, deep relationships, ongoing reflection, and purposeful engagement with the world. The mature adult, having cultivated self-mastery, wisdom, and ethical living, experiences life with serenity, insight, and enduring joy. Live each day with awareness, cultivate virtue, nurture your relationships, and pursue knowledge, he would say. In this, happiness is not a distant goal but the natural state of a well-lived life. Thus, Part 13 emphasizes virtue as the foundation of happiness, reflection, meaningful relationships, purposeful contribution, lifelong learning, and gratitude. Aristotle's wisdom teaches that the later years are a period of profound clarity, contentment, and fulfillment, where the soul flourishes and life reveals its deepest meaning. Part 14, Legacy, Purpose, and the Wisdom of the Mature Years. Aristotle would remind mature adults that life's ultimate meaning emerges through the integration of virtue, reflection, and purposeful action, particularly in the later decades. The years of experience, the lessons learned through successes and failures, and the relationships cultivated all converge to form a life that can be shared, appreciated, and remembered. The mature soul, he would say, does not live for fleeting pleasures, but for enduring impact, the legacy of virtue expressed in both action and example. He would emphasize the importance of intentional living. At 50, 60, or beyond, it is no longer enough to drift with circumstances, one must act with purpose and clarity. Every decision, however small, carries the weight of experience and has the potential to shape both one's own character and the lives of others. Aristotle would counsel, consider carefully how you act, speak, and contribute. Your choices now resonate far beyond the present moment, influencing those around you and shaping the memory of your life. Friendship and mentorship remain central in these years. Aristotle would stress that relationships founded on virtue and mutual respect are among life's most enduring treasures. Mature adults are uniquely equipped to provide guidance, support, and insight to younger generations. Share your wisdom generously, he would advise. Teach by example, counsel with care, and offer guidance to those who follow. In doing so, you extend the influence of your life and enrich the world around you. Aristotle would also speak to the value of reflection on mortality. Awareness of life's finitude encourages clarity, prioritization, and gratitude. Do not fear the passing of years, he would counsel, for it sharpens understanding and directs the mind to what is truly valuable. Each day is a gift, each moment an opportunity to live with virtue and presence. The mature adult, mindful of time's limits, can act with focus and intention, avoiding distractions that once consumed energy and attention. He would remind that purpose is inseparable from action. Beyond contemplation, life demands engagement, the sharing of knowledge, the cultivation of relationships, the nurturing of community, and the exercise of moral judgment. Aristotle would affirm, to live fully is to act wisely and generously, leaving behind traces of virtue that endure in others. These actions, small or large, form the legacy of a well-lived life. Gratitude and appreciation, he would insist, are essential companions to purpose. Recognizing the beauty in nature, the kindness of others, the growth of loved ones, and the lessons embedded in each day fosters serenity and satisfaction. By acknowledging the gifts life provides, you cultivate joy that is independent of circumstance and resilient in the face of change, Aristotle would say. Finally, Aristotle would emphasize the integration of all aspects of life, mind, body, spirit, relationships, and reflection, as the path to lasting fulfillment. Mature adults, who have experienced the breadth of human life, are uniquely positioned to harmonize these dimensions, living with clarity, purpose, and serenity. The culmination of wisdom, he would teach, is not in knowledge alone, but in a life expressed through virtue, guided by reason, and enriched by connection. Your legacy is built not only through achievements but through the depth of your character and the lives you touch. Thus, Part 14 highlights purposeful action, legacy, mentorship, reflection on mortality, gratitude, and the integration of mind, body, and spirit. Aristotle's counsel teaches that the mature years are a time of profound influence, deep fulfillment, and enduring significance, a period where wisdom manifests fully, guiding both oneself and others toward the good. Part 15, the culmination of wisdom, living fully in later life. Aristotle would remind mature adults that the final measure of a life well lived is the integration of wisdom, virtue, reflection, and purposeful action. After decades of experience, the individual possesses a unique clarity, the understanding of what truly matters, the insight to navigate challenges with calm and reason, and the ability to act in accordance with both knowledge and moral principle. Life, he would say, is most profound when every day is approached with conscious purpose and every action is guided by reason. He would emphasize that the mature adult's task is to live fully, not merely to endure. The passage of time need not bring resignation or fear. Rather, it offers opportunity, the chance to refine character, nurture relationships, cultivate understanding, and leave a lasting positive influence on the world. Aristotle would counsel, recognize the value of each day, for it is a page upon which your soul writes its legacy. Act with intention, reflect with honesty, and embrace the fullness of life in all its dimensions. Reflection is central to this stage of life. Aristotle would encourage the mature adult to review the entirety of their experiences, discerning patterns, lessons, and insights. Successes and failures alike become teachers. Look back not to lament or boast, but to understand, he would say. Each memory, each moment of triumph or regret, contributes to the wisdom that now guides your life. Through this deliberate reflection, one cultivates serenity, clarity, and self-mastery. Friendship and companionship, again, are pillars of fulfillment. Aristotle would stress that relationships rooted in virtue, mutual respect, and shared understanding are invaluable. Mature adults are in a unique position to mentor, advise, and guide younger generations. Through these interactions, wisdom is transmitted, character is strengthened, and the influence of a life well lived endures beyond the individual. The gift of your presence, insight, and example, he would advise, creates ripples of virtue that extend far into the future. He would also speak to the importance of balance and moderation. Life's later years are best navigated by cultivating harmony between body, mind, and spirit. Physical care, intellectual engagement, ethical action, and meaningful social connection all contribute to a holistic sense of fulfillment. Do not neglect any part of your being, Aristotle would remind. Harmony within yourself leads to harmony with the world. Purpose remains essential. Mature adults find meaning not only in contemplation but in active contribution, guiding others, serving the community, sharing knowledge, and practicing virtue daily. Aristotle would affirm, purpose is realized through action aligned with virtue. Through service, mentorship, and deliberate living, your life attains its fullest expression. This purposeful engagement transforms the remaining years into a period of significance and joy. Finally, Aristotle would remind that true happiness, eudaimonia, is found in living in accordance with reason and virtue. It is not a fleeting emotion but the enduring state of a soul aligned with its highest principles. The mature adult, having cultivated self-mastery, reflection, gratitude, and meaningful connections, experiences life with serenity, insight, and fulfillment. Happiness, he would say, is not granted by fortune, but earned through a life of conscious virtue, deliberate action, and harmonious being. Thus, Part 15 emphasizes integration, reflection, friendship, balance, purposeful action, and the attainment of lasting happiness. Aristotle's final counsel teaches that the later years are not a period of decline, but a time of profound clarity, influence, and fulfillment. Life, when guided by virtue and reason, reaches its pinnacle in maturity, offering both wisdom and joy to those who have cultivated their soul and shared it generously with the world.